So, sales leaders, how can you motivate your team to do even more in this crazy time when they're overwhelmed, understaffed, and likely very stressed out? Well, heck, that's all the time. How do you do that? Well, one way is to gamify your sales, right? How do you get people to change their behavior? Well, you reward what you want to get repeated. How do you do that? Well, today we're going to talk with my friend and the amazing DJ, game show host, brilliant guy that is Rob Ferre. Rob, what's up, my man? You're just
hey, how you doing,
man? I saw you. What's going on? Are you gamifying our show?
No, I like to document everything for the social media to let people know that I'm actually doing some work. You know, we're all working from home, and people are like, "Do you actually work? Do you put on pants in the morning?" I do put on shorts. But yeah, exactly. So from the neck up, I look pretty good, right? So and I want to make sure I'm looking good, but I also want to make sure people know that I'm actually working. So today we're hanging out. We're going to be talking about gamification.
Awesome. I'm so glad. So Rob, you're in Utah, right? You guys a lot of gambling and drinking there in Utah, right? That's what you're known. No, I mean Mountain. Sorry, wrong state. I was thinking Las Vegas.
Right. We're right next door to Nevada.
That's what
we're 6 hours from Vegas, about 2 hours from Wendover. That's our border town where we go to gamble from Salt Lake City. Like, ooh, it's pretty legit. So yeah.
So is it okay to talk about gamification? I mean, you live in Utah, Rob. There's no laws against this, is there?
No. We don't have a proper lottery here, but as far as games and game shows, we can do that all day. So you probably didn't ask me about this, but do you see this right here? Right here, it says GSP.
Yeah. Is that global speaking professional?
Oh, you would think that, but I'm not that. It's a term I made up. It's called game show person.
Nice.
So
nice.
I like everybody attaches a thing to their name, and they're like, "What's your profession? What's a GSP?" I'm like, it's a game show person. Is that a certification? No, it's just what I like to call myself.
I love that.
And I also tell people I have an MFE. What's an MFE? I'm like, it's a master's in family entertainment. And I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, I worked in Orlando, Florida for 3 years where I got my master's of family entertainment. Is that an actual course or a certification? No, it's something I made up. So you got to do what you got to do. And so that's why I add legitimacy by adding names. So adding letters to the end of it. But where you are in Florida, I used to live for 3 years, and that's actually where I got started in the game show kind of arena. I used to work at the Nickelodeon Hotel.
Ooh, Nickelodeon Hotel.
Yeah, exactly. And you're wearing the Nickelodeon colors. That bright orange is the Nickelodeon quintessential color, along with slime green. Like those were the two colors. And so I worked at the Nick Hotel, and I worked doing game shows there and DJing there as well. And if you remember the old Double Dare show, we had shows that were very similar to it. We also had a show that was called Who Knows Best, which was, let's say, a newlywed game mixed with Family Feud. Basically, parents and kids trying to have matches with different quiz questions. And so it was a lot of fun. And I also worked at Disney and at Universal. And at Universal, I used to do game shows leading up to concerts and bands performing. So I had many opportunities to kind of hone my skills there. And then I came back to Utah. People are like, well, why do you live in Utah now? Well, this is my home. This is where I grew up. And I wanted to come back home and try and make my own stamp here and kind of do my own thing. But when you're in the speaking and the game show business, you can go anywhere now. And virtually, we can be anywhere. So it doesn't really matter where you are as long as you like living there. So this is what I do.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. I didn't know a lot of that background. I mean, I knew that you worked for Disney, but I didn't know the rest. And slime green. Rob, I'm disappointed you're not wearing a slime green tie today. What's up with that? Do you have
yeah, it's all packed away. It's all packed away. I didn't think about that, but I do have a polo that's the exact same color as what you're wearing right now. So
fantastic.
Next time,
absolutely, we'll be twins. That'll be. Although we do both have a Pac-Man suit. Let's be clear, right? Our love of games. You're about Yeah, Rob. So for all of you who don't know, my brand used to be I would wear a Pac-Man suit because I thought it was fun, and I realized that that wasn't exactly what I wanted to be known for because I am not a game show guy. I'm a guy who is pretty focused on sales, who helps sales leaders lead more effectively. I work with sales teams. I work with people who want to make more money. So Rob decided he's going to show us Pac-Man. So Rob, what you got, brother?
So I just realized I don't have my Pac-Man suit. I actually lent it to a fellow speaker, but I do have this. This is my R2-D2 Star Wars suit. Over quarantine, I've purchased probably 5 or 6 different suits. And so I have a variety of Star Wars suits, superhero suits, but this is my favorite R2-D2 suit. But my Pac-Man suit, I lent it to a fellow speaker. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I created a game show theme on the program he did. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
So before we get started here in the gamification for sales leaders, Rob, so do you have other than a game show, of course, that you've hosted, what would your favorite game show of all time be and why?
All time. Oh, that's a tough one. The game that I really liked watching as a child was Press Your Luck. And it was just because of those stupid whammies. I love the cartoon characters.
Yes, that's my favorite too.
Right. I don't know why, but that's what I liked watching. Now, as far as it was fun to watch, but it's not as interactive. I think when there's games like Jeopardy, which actually you can play along with them and answer the questions, right? And Jeopardy it's a very simple game, but Jeopardy, you can do that knowledge. And there's been a couple of games. There was one that was on Comedy Central, which I really liked. It was called Beat the Geeks.
Yep.
And do you remember this show?
Of course.
And it was a show I actually wanted to be on. You basically got 2 of your friends, and then you would go against the geeks. They had a TV show geek, a music geek, and a movie geek. And they knew all the trivia and all these different things. And you'd put your best 3 against their best 3. And I loved that show. And I always had a dream one day to be on Beat the Geeks, because I think with that one, it's that sense of competition against these experts. They now have a show on Game Show Network, very similar. It's called Masterminds, with Ken Jennings, who has his ties to Utah. Everybody knows who Ken Jennings is like the ultimate winner of Jeopardy. They had an ultimate show off with the best winners from Jeopardy of all time. I don't know if you saw that, but I watched it. It was like a 4 or 5 night event where Ken, I forget the other contestants, but they competed against each other. And so I think games that can also involve the viewer are very compelling, where they can answer trivia along with them. Whammies, you couldn't really compete. You could just watch and be entertained. It was just entertaining to watch.
Wow. That's so fun. Yeah. Well, and they did reboot Press Your Luck. And it wasn't nearly as good though. I like the original one. And then did you ever see the episode where the guy actually hacked?
Yes.
That episode was never aired. That was fascinating to me. So
yeah, and I watched I've watched documentaries on game shows, and I believe Press Your Luck, there was this guy, I think that was maybe on a YouTube documentary, but basically he figured out the patterns and he knew how to do it. And so yeah, I don't think they ever aired it, but there was also this documentary about this guy who went on The Price is Right multiple times, and he hacked that as well. And so he was able to figure out the different patterns and the different things and how to guess pricing and things like that. And so it's always fascinating to see people who are also obsessed with game shows like myself. And so with that being said, I actually come to gamification very differently. A lot of people who speak on gamification or work in the field of gamification, they work in maybe software, they work in actual gaming. I come from the world of game shows. And so that's my approach to gamification.
Yeah. And I think that's a fun way, because I think so often we spend too much time on the game mechanics and not enough time on the game entertainment, and we don't make it as enjoyable as we could. So let's talk about that, Rob. Let's talk about some of the parts of gamification here, if you will, right? So first, it's important that you set up what the prize is going to be, right? So as we think about that, that would be one place to start. Or where do you recommend starting for folks that are looking at gamifying, Rob?
Yeah, we have to have the end in mind, which is what are we getting? Why are we doing this? But that's exactly why I asked that question. What is your why? What is the motivation for you to do this? What do you want them to accomplish? Where do you want them to go with this? Are you playing a game just to have fun, or are you doing a game to motivate? And so I put this together just recently. When it comes to gamification, do you want it to motivate? Do you want it to integrate? Or do you want to create competition, right? And when I say integrate, integrating your methodology, integrating what you are doing in the workplace. So gamification can integrate some of your new policies, some of your new procedures, right? Or you could just motivate somebody through gamification. You just want them to be more productive, or want them to compete with others within it. And now you're creating this Hunger Game of sorts within your group. But you also want to make sure when you're doing gamification that you're not alienating others, right? So it's very important that you know how people are motivated, because not everybody is going to react the same way. What motivates me is very different from what motivates you. But I do like that sense of competition, but also a lot of people like that sense of leveling up. So that's competition between myself. I want to become better for myself. I was never the person who wanted to become the valedictorian or get straight A's, but my wife was that way because she always wanted to compete against herself. She was in gymnastics. And gymnastics can be a team sport, but it's also a very individual sport where you are competing against yourself to get higher scores and higher grades, whatever. And so she is into that. My favorite sport to play is basketball. I love to play basketball. That's a team sport, right? And I'm now competing against another team, right? Tennis, that's an individual sport, but you're competing against another person. So you have like one-on-one against each other, one on yourself, if that makes sense. And then team games where you're competing against different teams. And so what's fascinating to me is watching what they're doing in Orlando right now in the bubble. You know, you're 30, 40 minutes away from the bubble. And my team is the Utah Jazz. And what's really interesting about that is they've done a really good job of taking away some of the factors that maybe really dive into what people do during the NBA season. You have the factors of travel. You have the factors of the crowd. You have the factors of not sleeping in your own bed. Now the playing field is leveled. Everybody is in one stadium, one hotel, and they're competing against each other. And so now it's very fascinating to watch what the NBA is doing, because now the playing field is now being leveled. So there's some lessons to be learned from that. So there's so many different things. And I know I've gone over a whole broad spectrum of things, but most of all, we got to figure out, what is your why? What is the end thing? What do you have the end in mind? The end in mind for the NBA season is to find a champion. So that's what they had to do. And so they were able to create this round robin. Once the round robin is over, now we're into the playoffs. And so it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you had a lot there, Rob, that I want to unpack a little bit. So first,
let's do that.
Yeah, first, right, you mentioned what's your why. Are we looking for behavior change? Are we looking for reward and recognition? Are we looking for improved teamwork? Are we looking to integrate some new policies, some new procedure? Or are we just trying to get our teams to compete with each other, right? And sometimes as sales professionals, right, just that competition is often enough. That was an important point that you had there. The second thing that you said that I thought was really good is understanding what motivates each person on your team. What motivates you is not what motivates me. What motivates your wife is not what motivates you. Really important, right? What motivates each person on your team is different. So find out, are they intrinsic, extrinsic? Do they want teammate? What with that? And then how are you going to measure this? Is it going to be individual? Are they going to be competing against yourself? Is it going to be a team? Are you going to team up with other teams, right? It's just cross-functional. How is this going to happen? I think lots of really good stuff there, Rob, to remind folks of. But as we're doing that, right, a lot of people your end is not just, hey, why is this? But also, what can we afford in our budget? How do we make this work? What prizes are effective? So as a game show host, Rob, what are some of the inexpensive prizes that you might have seen work? And then let's move into actually playing a little bit of the game.
Yeah. And so the last term I failed I talked about motivate, integrate, and then the last one is celebrate. We want to celebrate. And so maybe that's why you're doing that. You just want to celebrate the accomplishments of your team. So what are some of the prizes that you can do out there? Well, some of the lowest budget prizes that you can do is lunch, time off. If that doesn't really cost you a whole lot of money, giving somebody the opportunity to maybe take an extra day off, or being able to recognize them. Recognition is huge. Just being able to say, this is our employee of the month. It's interesting, going back to my wife, she's the only one that's really worked in the corporate world. I myself have worked in entertainment, and I dabbled in education for a minute. But she got recognized as the employee of the year at her work a couple of years ago. Well, when I say a couple of years ago, that was about 8 years ago, right before we got married. She was the only person to ever be recognized at her place of work as the employee of the year. And the reason I tell you this is not to boast, but she created that. And they thought this is the best way to recognize her and give her that celebration of her accomplishments. But here's some other things. Just start thinking about what you guys do internally. Do you guys give lunch? Somebody could get an extra lunch. They can bring somebody to work. You can find different creative ways that you can do within your own workplace. So it's either free lunches, days off, extra ticket to the family picnic, whatever it may be. Those things really don't cost you a lot of money. You can even do a lunch with the boss or a lunch with whoever. And so now you also get to reward them, you get to celebrate them, but you also get to learn more about them. And then they can offer you feedback and give you some ideas. And so think about what you can do within your own office. And then the other thing is, it can just be a $10 Starbucks gift card. Or the thing is, you can go to their Facebook page. Maybe you're not friends with them. Go to their LinkedIn page and find something that they like. And this is sometimes, it takes a little bit of creativity. Maybe somebody within your own business can find out what those likes are. If I find out that Phil's not really into Starbucks, he'll never use Starbucks, he doesn't really drink coffee, but I know that Phil loves his refills at 7-Eleven, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to give Phil a $10 gift card to 7-Eleven because he's actually going to use that. And that might mean more to him. Now, 7-Eleven is not the best example, but that might mean more to Phil that I actually went in and checked out what he likes, things that he likes. So it does take a little bit more effort, but you can celebrate people in that way. And then another solution, you give them a choice. You say, we have this, this, or this. Amazon gift card, Audible, we have, which is the same thing, but you could find different opportunities. Target, oh, my family really needs the extra groceries or whatever. So you give them a choice. And once you have choice, you're like, yes, I want to choose that, because you'd rather choose this. Or a pass to Disney, a pass to Universal, a pass to SeaWorld. Now that I'm thinking about Orlando again. But find different things, give them a choice also.
Really good advice. I think, yeah, I loved your first point though, finding something they like. When I recognize, when I do that, when I train people on how to do better at rewards and recognition, I use a little formula called the MUST method: meaningful and full of meaning. To your point, here's what your wife did that was exceptional, that helped her earn Employee of the Year. That's meaningful and filled with meaning, and you need to level that up as high as you can. If you can get the CEO to give it out, it's the most meaningful, as long as they know how to pronounce your wife's name, as long as they actually say it and don't just read it off a card, right? It has to be meaningful and filled with meaning. The second was the you, and that's unique, right? And that's where finding out what they like, it has to be unique to the individual. You have to have that. You have to understand what that is. You could give them a choice. That's one way to make it unique. The other way to make it unique is to find out what they like. The third thing is specific. They have to find a specific thing that you're rewarding for. It can't just be, hey, Rob, great job. You're awesome, man. Like, that's not a reward. I mean, that's
No.
nice. That's just a gift, though. That's stupid. That doesn't change any behavior, especially not on a
Right.
sales team. When you're like, yeah, Rob's just a really good guy. The rest of
Right.
the sales team's looking around like, well, I'm a really good guy. I'm a really good girl. Why are they not choosing me? So be specific that everyone could possibly earn, that is possible with effort that everyone can earn, right? Specific, and explain specifically what the behavior was that they did so that other people might have a chance to win it next time. And then the last one is T, and that's timely. If you can't recognize in real time, like every single day, hey, Rob, you did a great job today or an hour ago or right now, because sometimes
Yeah.
they're cumulative awards, then it's got to be this week or this month. And sometimes, yeah, it's this quarter, but that seldom recognizes anyone. That's a bonus. Again, that's not reward and recognition. That's not a game. That's not fun. That's not something that's going to get repeated because that's already gone. I mean, I don't know what I had for breakfast yesterday. I can't remember. I'm certainly not going to remember that awesome customer call that I had on the 17th of June of 2017 that I earned this $10 Starbucks card with. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So I use that must formula. It works really well for me. It's rewards and recognition, but a little bit of gamified as well, because then if I put it on the big board, and we used to use level 11. I've seen people use all sorts of different tools to make that happen. You put it up on the big board so that you can gamify it so that I can see, oh, Rob is just 2 calls away from earning that bonus. Hey,
Yep.
Tim is just 3 more qualified leads away from getting that bonus or whatever that is. And I think that makes it even more fun because part of the gamification, of course, is sound effects. So what's your favorite game show theme song, Rob? Do you have one?
Well, I actually created my own game show theme song for what is called Best Game Show Ever. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, geez. So, folks, if you're listening or watching, right, think about yours. Rob's going to look for his. I'm going to share mine, right? So I'm going to share mine because I love game shows. I love game shows. There's so many of them that are so darn good. And I actually like the simple one of Jeopardy. Really simple. This is
Jeopardy.
That's right. So it's our favorite answers to questions show. I like that. That's super simple. I really dig that. So that's one of my favorites that I have. There's lots of other ones that are out there. So if you're listening, you're thinking, hey, what are these? What would I like? As you look at this, right? Hollywood Squares was good. Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. So Rob, did you find it?
I'm trying to find the actual song because I actually have it embedded into some of my keynotes. And I do a lot of game shows through my actual keynotes. When I say keynotes, sorry, my presentations and then Keynote is what I use. I don't use PowerPoint. I use Keynote. So I'm looking for the actual song right now. But when it comes to music, what I actually really do like is the instrumental version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I just like that music. It's really good because it starts off dun 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 dun, and then and then the music kind of builds, and it gives you that anticipation, and you're like, what's about to happen? And that's one of the biggest modern day game shows that has been a huge success. And so that's one of my favorites, is actually playing that song. And so we'll go with that for now. And so I can't find the actual song but that's what I really like. So there you go.
That's cool. So, all right. So let's set up a little game here. Let's set up a competition between maybe even, 2 people. Nobody's watching. Nobody's listening. It's just me and you, Rob. Let's talk about gamifying that. No, for real, man. We've got this game. And it's just me and you. So no pressure. Let's talk about how that plays, right? How does that play? So let's do the setup first. What's the end? Because I'm sure you probably prep some stuff. So what's
So are we talking about, like, are we creating something for us in our own team or whatever? What's our end in mind? How are we going to set this all up?
Yeah.
So here's the deal is Phil and I are going to try and get more LinkedIn views on a blog post. That's our game.
Okay.
But there's a good why behind that. It's to create more exposure. It's to get our word out, and it's also to help each other. And So what is the end in mind? What do we get? What's our reward? Well, our reward is I will have to take out Phil to dinner next time, or he has to take me out to dinner. Okay. And then if it's a tie, then we find our favorite person. We take all three of us out to dinner. I don't know. So I'm just making this up as we go.
Okay.
But now we have a competition between the two of us. This is a friendly competition, but we want to see who can get more likes on our post or whatever. And but here's the thing about it. We have to set rules and parameters, right? That's the most important thing when it comes to maybe sales or whatever you're doing with your group. You have to have rules. So it's a week. You have to drop your blog post on Wednesday morning, and then you got a full week to see how many people comment on it, like it, or share it. Okay. That's the competition. And then in the end, our reward is also taking each other out to dinner where we have a little bit more time, but we also get to have that exposure and see who got the most exposure for our blog posts, which also helps us in our businesses. So that's just my hypothetical game.
Cool.
How's that?
Cool. That's great, right? So let's break that down. So the goal, yes, is that we get to have dinner together. Let's be clear, right? As two people who like each other, that's a win regardless. I feel like we both have a chance at winning. That's wonderful as well. We've identified that. We've got the time frame. We talked about 7 days. We talked about more views, and yet you included likes and comments. So we're just going to go total views, and then we'll start this, and we'll pick a start time on that, so that we'll have that, and we'll probably start that, tomorrow, or we'll start that the next day. So Rob, when we do that, we will tag each other in the post. That'll be an additional rule so that we can see the other one. Okay. And with that, then you can post anything you want to, but let's be clear, you can't be giving anything away or trying to bribe people to get views, right? You can ask them, hey, please, this is a competition, or you don't have to. In fact, let's say, nope, let's not mention the competition. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Good. So we'll do that. We'll see how that works, right? But this is how, folks, if you're on your sales team, right, you could have, okay, so how many calls are you going to make? Is there a time frame for this? When are you going to end it? Maybe it's qualified leads. And then you have to define, what's qualified, who determines if it's qualified on that. And frankly, out to dinner, I need to eat, Rob needs to eat. Probably no extra expense. It's not like Rob's going to make me take him to Red Lobster or anything. So this should be just fine. Right. But I think that's great, Rob. And that's a perfect example of how.
Actually, could you take me to Burns Steakhouse?
I could, but I wouldn't be able to go with you. Maybe if they let me porter cars, I'll be able to afford dinner with you. That's how that works.
Okay. Okay.
Right. But right. So perfect example, right? We will always get the one unreasonable person who always tries to take it to the nth degree. And so, any Pez dispenser you want. Well, Rob, there's this one collector's item. It's worth about $250,000. They've only made one, and it's autographed by this celebrity. Okay, well, let's be reasonable. So that's the prize, right? It has to be a reasonable prize, not a prize that bankrupts the group, unless it may be a culmination. So I think that's really good, Rob. Really, really helpful here. We got a lot of stuff out of this. So as we're talking gamification, let's close this up, Rob, with where should people kind of get started on this journey? Is they're thinking, what? I might want my sales team to actually do some gamification. I'm thinking, maybe there's a resource, or maybe you've got a guide or something that helps people get more involved in starting on the journey of gamification. What you got, man?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I'm going to tell you to maybe look at what other people are doing. Just reach out to some professionals, maybe not your competition, but some people who are already doing that. What are you doing to motivate? Find out that way. That's one of the easiest ways. Another are my friends at Motivosity, located here in Utah. Motivosity does some amazing things, and it's a platform that you can use and integrate right into your own business. And what I love about Motivosity, it's like gamifying social media, Facebook, like everybody's on this platform and they can see each other, but they also gamify gratitude, which is one of my favorite things about Motivosity. Is it's not only that it's competition, but we're uplifting each other. And so people get points for shouting out and being thankful for what other people have done on the team. And so I can be on that platform and say, big shout out to Phil. He invited me to be on LinkedIn sales with him today. Big shout out to him. And I get points for that. And so now it's gamifying gratitude. And that's what I really like. And so there are a lot of different platforms out there. That's the one I'm most familiar with. It's called Motivosity. And so that's one resource. As far as if you want to talk to me about it, I'm happy to do that. And I can also give you guys a PDF with some of the things that I have learned. But why don't you just go to my LinkedIn, and I have some other blog posts right there. And so, and that's what I like to do, is I just like to help people. And the most important thing that I like to do is entertain people. And that is through gamification. And so one of my favorite things is to play games. And Phil, do you want to play a game? Is that all right that we wrap this up with a game?
Let's wrap it up with a game. Let me plug you one time, though. First, so
Okay.
if you want to get connected with Rob before we play a game, no, I would encourage you to wait. Go to robferre.com. That's FERRE.com. And it's pronounced like hip hop. Ferre.
Hooray.
Ferre. Oh, so yeah,
Oh.
that's it. So yeah, check Rob out. Connect on your favorite social network. LinkedIn's a great place for that. So Rob, yes, I'd love to play a game. This is like war games. Will you be Matthew Broderick today for us?
Yes, totally. Let's go back to war games. So this game is an all play. And if you're watching live right now, this is a fun thing that you can do. And I like to create games. And this is a game that I created. And it's called the Emoji Band Challenge. And we're going to start with the 80s. Yes. And so I'm going to be showing you emojis from bands in the 80s. Okay. And so here we go. I'm in the corner there. Hi, everybody. So Phil, let's go ahead and start right here.
All right.
80s bands.
Talking
Let's
Head.
see. Good job. Talking Heads. Very good. Okay. All right. Let's see if you can. Now, for those of you watching right now, it's time to beat Phil. Can you beat Phil?
Is that, oh, let's see, bees, huh? So that's bees.
Yeah.
That's a swarm of bees. Bumblebees.
How many are there?
Oh, so 3, 6, 9. I don't know.
Good at
bees? I don't know, 50 bees?
B-52.
That's close. Yeah. See,
Close.
Love Shack, I should have got that one. The Police.
Exactly. Very good. Speaking of the police.
Oh, Sting.
Very good.
The Stingster. Stingorama. Stingatola.
Oh,
Dog, cat. 24-hour hospital. General Hospital. No.
West End Girls.
Oh, West End Girls. Oh, got it. Yeah.
Who sang that song?
The Pet Shop Boys, of course.
Exactly. That's pets in a shop and some boys.
Nice.
Now, this band also comes from the same town, or they started in the same town as the B-52s, Athens, Georgia.
Oh, so that's Tired Eyes, Naked Eyes. That is Sleepy.
It's a Sleep Cycle.
Sleeps. Oh, REM.
There
Michael
you go.
REM. There we go. Nice. So, Point.
I'm so excited.
Oh, the Pointer
Yes.
Sisters.
Yes, very good.
Run DMC, of course.
Very good. And this is for all our friends from Down Under.
Oh, Men at Work.
Very good.
Starship. Great.
Very good. These guys sang a very
Men Without
important
Hats.
song. Yes, the Safety Dance.
S S S S A F F. All right, keep going. So that is
Don't
what?
drink Clorox.
Poison.
Yes.
That's Bret Michaels. Guns N' Roses.
Yes. All the way from Germany.
Oh, that crab, lobster, rock lobster would be a song by the B-52s.
No, these are
The Scorpions.
Yes.
Winds of Change, of course.
Yeah. This is my last and final one. This is the hardest one.
Georgia Satellites.
Yes. Well done. Well
Woo-hoo!
done.
Yeah.
Phil, you are the
Keep your
winner.
hands to yourself, Rob. That's fantastic. I got
Well
that.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good. So simple games, right? To get us to play back and forth, to bring us closer together, and to help your team do even more. That's good stuff, man. That's really fun. And that's not that hard, right? So stuff that you can do, folks, things that are relevant, make sure that it's age appropriate, right? 19-year-olds probably don't know many of those bands, but
right.
Rob does. And if you're,
and you do.
And I do, yeah, because I'm a nerd. So with that, Rob Ferre, as always, my friend, it is great to spend time with you. Connect with Rob if you don't know him, right? Go to robferre.com. That's ROBFERRE. Find him on LinkedIn. Find him on Instagram. He's very fun to follow, especially his stories. He's got lots of great stuff, and he's a really great friend, and I'm really glad he's with us today. Thanks, Rob. You're the best, man.
Thank you. It was an honor. I appreciate it.